Well, hello and welcome to the New Health Conversation. My name is Peter Greenlaw, and yeah, I lost 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've been able to keep it off for 21 years. This is not a joke, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to present to you 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies now that have come out proving this new protocol, which changed my life all that time ago. And any of you that are thinking about diets, probably after this podcast today, you're going to reconsider it. Diets just absolutely don't work. I've written 4 best-selling books about it. One is called Why Diets Are Failing Us, and you can see the other ones there, the TDOS Syndrome, TDOS Solutions, and Your Third Brain, which isn't a trick title. It's totally for real. So the idea for any of you on here, the whole key to this is we're in a crisis right now, and what we're being told and what we have been told and what we're doing, none of it's your fault. My own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin and I never knew her healthy. And I lived through what fat shaming looked like and the whispers and the kids making fun of her. And 23 years ago, she called me up one day and said, Peter, I have one wish in my life. I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend 24 hours thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's really cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. It's why I became a researcher. It's why I'm sharing all of this with you today. It's not really about my personal story, although I hope that will cause some interest in you. What we're going to share with you today is only the medical proof behind the first part is why any diet you've ever gone on, it's not your fault. They do not work. They can't work. They're based on a completely flawed principle. And when we have people like Harvard Medical School, I'm going to read to you from this article, Stop Counting Calories. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that the decades-old strategy is actually really misguided. This idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, says Stanford, it's time to take a different approach by concentrating on what's in the calorie, not how many calories we're consuming. This is the tragedy. This is you can't find anybody on social media that isn't telling you that this is some form of counting calories. And yet today, what's the sad reality? We have 80% of people overweight, we have 50% obese, and 50% are pre-diabetic. We have 33% of our kids that are pre-diabetic. Does anyone honestly think, put it in the chat, that any of these diets work? But it's not just Harvard Medical School. Let me read to you from another big study that was done. Let me just find it here real quickly. This one, okay, it's over here, sorry. It's called, it says Stop Counting Calories. The idea of the idea of weight reduction by caloric restriction has led us to find that 66 and 2/3 of people who go on a diet by reducing calories gain back more weight than they lost. Does that sound like a lot of fun? Does that sound like that's your fault? You're going on diets with completely wrong perception, wrong approach. The researchers who discovered this, when I did this 22 years ago, we didn't have any research. All I knew was what happened to me. I really did. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I kept it off now for 21 years. But we had no medical proof. That took years later in these major studies that have now come out. There are now 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. And what they proved was that this new approach, which had nothing to do with counting calories, men and women lost as much weight in 7 days as in 8 weeks of dieting. They lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet, lost no water, and actually gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise allowed. I know it sounds good to be true, and the more that I share the science with you, it seems like the more skeptical people become. But the one thing we can hang our hat on that nobody else has on social media, we have the only peer-reviewed human trial studies. This new protocol was invented by what are considered to be the top nutrition, weight loss, and physiologists in the world. For more than 38 years, they've done over 100 studies, thousands of people looking at every diet out there. And here were the conclusions they have come to. One, people, didn't matter what the diet was, they lost weight. But every time when they did blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle analysis, people lost up to 40% of their lean muscle, and all the people on all the diets gained back all their weight or more. Okay? So you're literally going on a diet Did you know you were going on a diet to weigh more than when you started? At least 66 and 2/3 of you. So the researchers said something's terribly wrong with what we were doing. Because see, the whole definition of diets is wrong. You've been told about counting calories. Well, the problem is the human body doesn't count calories, doesn't know what a calorie is. It could care less, right? Anyway, to make a long story short, what's happened is that these researchers, they had a completely different approach. What they did was they said, what's the flaw in all diets? The flaw in all diets was that really the human body has a minimum amount of nutrition, not calories. It doesn't care about calories. It cares about nutrition. And the problem is that all these diets, what really is happening is you're lowering the amount of food you're consuming, the quantity. But what else are you lowering when you go on a diet? You're lowering nutrition. And when you lower nutrition, the brain figures out you're starving to death, prevents you from burning fat, and converts your muscles into carbohydrates for fuel and slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau on diets. That's why you come off these diets and you gain everything back. So what they did, the theory was this: could we lower the amount of food people consumed, but not lower the amount of nutrition? It was a theory. These researchers, by the way, they don't sell anything. There's no product. There's no company. This is the pure scientific research. And what they created was well, it's going to change the world. So what happened was they found that they limited the amount of food people consumed in the medical studies to 40% of their food came from the grocery store, and they provide a list of fats, carbs, proteins, fruits, vegetables, etc. And for only 40% of the food they let people consume. The other 60% came from 5 food groups that these researchers didn't find, but there were other researchers who had gone around the world to Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, to Tibet and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, finding basically 5 food groups that had massive amounts of nutrition, no herbicides, no pesticides, but they had massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive amounts of volume. They didn't have quantity. So now they had the basis. They had 40% from the grocery store, 60% from these foods. And then they created 2 new ways of consuming the food. The first one was called protein pacing, where these 5 foods were for breakfast, lunch came from the grocery store, dinner came from the grocery store, and then a 4th meal after dinner. So they started with a meal from the foods from around the world, then a grocery store, then a dinner grocery store, and then a 4th meal. And that was 5 days a week. 2 days a week, they did something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating, nothing like that. On those days, they consumed no food from the grocery store, and just these 5 foods, basically every 2 to 3 hours, spread out over about 12 hours over the course of a day. The results speak for themselves. That's what I did. And I really did. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off now for 21 years. It's not a diet. It doesn't work anything like a diet. And what we now know that we didn't know when I first started, that me and you and everybody has this medical syndrome. It's called TDOS. Now, I discovered it. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. The T is for toxicity, the D is for deficiency, the O is for being overweight, and the S is for stress. And every one of us are storing chemicals, herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and flame retardants and all these chemicals in our world. We're storing them inside our body, and they're doing really bad things to us. These researchers who did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proved that this protocol was much more important than the weight loss people were losing. It was about also proving this was assisting the body in removing those chemicals, the toxins, the herbicides, pesticides, Scotchgard, Teflon, flame retardants, and even plastics removed from the body. There's nothing like this on the planet. And like I said before, the researchers, they don't sell anything. They don't have any products. They had this, this combination really of 3 different approaches. 40% of food from, it would be organic from the grocery store. The key was these 5 foods from around the world that had massive amounts of nutrition. And then a completely different way of consuming food each week with 5 days of protein pacing and 2 days of intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, the protocol, ironically, is called by the researchers R2M, stands for race to maintenance. Now, what you might think is, okay, well, I've lost the weight, now I'm done. No. Once you've lost the weight, you're at the end of the beginning. Then what we teach you how to do is to maintain it. Just like myself, I've kept it off for 21 years. Wouldn't that excite you? How many of you have gone on a diet only to gain everything back? Way faster than you lost it. and you got discouraged, or you thought, well, it's me, or it was the wrong kind of diet. Yeah, it was the wrong kind of diet, because none of these diets work long term. I don't care what they're claiming, what they're saying. The medical proof is just a staggering, showing that these diets fail long term. Study after study after study after study. And again, I think it's really important that we now have an opportunity, and I'm going to put it up there for all of you. We created a free website where you can actually go, you can see it there, the New Health Conversation, where you can go absolutely for free and see the medical proof for yourself. And you'll see that what's there is absolutely, it'll stun you. You go, this can't be real. But it is real, because we have several of the peer-reviewed human trial studies on the website. There are actually more, but we've got the most important ones that were on there for you to see for yourself, the medical evidence. But let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go to look at the New England Journal of Medicine, a big study, 12 months, where they took one group of people and had them lower their calories, and the other group did, this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8. What did they find? After 12 months, the people who simply lowered calories ended up losing, in a year, 16 pounds. The people who did time-restricted eating lost a pitiful 12.6 pounds in a year. That's like a pound a month. But they did say those lowering calories and the group who did time-restricted eating lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. 40% of their lean muscle mass. See, the problem is that we have so much information now. We have so many people on social media. And I think they mean well. They're just giving you the wrong information. Have you ever seen one of them show you a peer-reviewed human trial study on what they're claiming? Any of them? Zero? Any of them? I have never seen one. And again, if what they were talking about was that good, okay, if it was that good, then you would want a peer-reviewed human trial study, because when you get a peer-reviewed human trial study, it's irrefutable. It's already been validated by the top medical doctors and researchers in the world if it has to do with health or wealth, or not wealth, but health or diet, nutrition, whatever. None of them have it. Why are you following opinions? Why are you listening to these influencers that are giving, they're all saying the same thing. At the end of the day, the only way to lose weight is to lower calories. Well, we just kind of totally debunked that, Here's another one, why losing weight isn't about cutting calories. At all the fad diets, calorie restriction continues to be a popular approach to weight loss. It turns out that cutting calories for weight loss is a misguided strategy that leads to the more unintended weight gain over time. You're going on a diet to gain weight. Did you know that? Because that's what's happening. Now, you do lose weight on any diet initially, but as you know, you plateau, and then you stop the diet, you gain it, but you're gaining back more than you're even losing. And we know, based on studies, 90% of what you're gaining back is fat, not lean muscle. You're losing up to 40% of your lean muscle. Who's telling you this? Why are we listening to this noise? Because that's what everybody's saying. That's the mainstream, right? Well, 550 years ago, the smartest people in the world thought one thing too, that the world was flat. That's where we are in diets. They're all telling you the same thing. It's some form, approach, scheme to lower the quantity of food you're consuming. They never tell you you're lowering nutrition. Does anyone disagree with that? Do you understand? Do you all get it? We're not talking about some simple cookie cutter, hey, we'll give you 200 recipes to lose weight. Really? Really? They're completely ignoring the fact that our food is becoming more and more nutritionally insufficient. Even if you're trying to eat healthy, even if you do organic, it's still woefully short in nutrition. That's why the researchers had to they didn't find it, but other people had found food sources from around the world, from Russia, China, Mongolia, Manchuria, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, with massive amounts of nutrition, not massive amounts of volume. Now, for all of March, Set, Grow, you'll all see there the New Health Conversation. It's a free website. There's nothing to buy there. None of my books are there. The only thing is the medical proof. But here's what we do for you. If you like what you see, you can scroll down to the bottom and schedule a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Now, our coaches have done the protocol and been trained to answer all your questions. See, I see these other influencers. They want you to buy their program, then they give you the recipes, and then you get a coach. That's messed up. Why would we have to do that? We're being totally transparent, showing you everything up front, including the medical studies, including an interview with the #1 weight loss physiologists in the world. Wouldn't you want to hear what he has to say and their scientists about their 38 years of research and why they'll never recommend any form of traditional diet again? And you're listening to people that are giving you opinions, even though they mean well. And some of them are medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians. But they're not researchers. They haven't done any. They're following the dogma that's out there. And all I would say to them is, okay, how can 80% of America be overweight and 50% be obese and 50% pre-diabetic if any of these diets work? Which they don't in the long run, let's be clear. They don't. You can think whatever you think. You can do whatever you want to think. And then just look around and see the reality of where we are. It's totally nuts. It's totally crazy. So SAN 20206, are you looking to lose weight? And Lori, coming on, it's not fake. I really did lose 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. Is anybody else showing you anything even remotely similar like this at all? So SAN 206, sorry. Are you looking to lose weight? What have you tried before? Are there any health conditions you'd like to improve? Does this make sense to you? I can answer any questions for you because this is live. This is not pre-recorded. I'm really here. I'm really holding up the books that I've written. It's totally real. It's totally real, okay? But again, I want to try and help as many people as I can because, when I put that up there in the banner, I lost 20 pounds in 18 days. I mean, I did. And then I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. And I've kept it off for 21 years. What more do I need to tell you than that, right? Well, I did. I went over exactly, what they did, how they did it, et cetera. But Cooks or Regar, that is not a fake. I really did lose 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. It's not a diet. It doesn't work anything like a diet. But I will admit for 20 of those 21 years, we never had any medical proof. Now we do. Right here, we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, some of which are on the website that you can see the new health conversation, the most important ones. But imagine men and women like me, they lost as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet, lost as much weight in a month as a year in any diet. Look what I did. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. That's what should be exciting to all of you, and it's not a diet. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight. It's to maximize your quality of life potential. See, we're all running around in like good enough. Really? And even those, well, I'm really healthy and I no, you don't. You think you do. Our food is, even if you do organic, it's nutritionally insufficient. Why has no one ever come up with peer-reviewed human trial studies until now of this new protocol and the researchers who created this, they don't sell anything. They don't have a company. They don't have a product. They're scientists. But they're the top weight loss and physiologists in the world for 38 years, over 100 studies, thousands of people. They figured this out. They cracked the code on obesity. That's what they were chasing for 38 years. So it's not some company. Oh, well, no, it's not how it works. But aren't you just a little bit curious? Unless you think I'm lying about my story, which I'm not. I really did. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years, and it's not a diet. I'd love to hear from any of you. You ever seen anything like that? And I was about, let's say, 50 pounds overweight, maybe 40 to 50 pounds, but I lost 40. I lost 40 in 7 weeks. But the main thing is I've maintained it for all this time. Doesn't that make you a little bit, tiny bit curious? Unless you think I'm making it up, which I'm not. And we offer right there the new health conversation. It's a free medical website. There's nothing to buy there. None of my books. There's no celebrity endorsements. You get to see the medical proof. And an interview with the number 1 nutritional researcher and weight loss person in the world? Not me. I don't want you to believe me. And all I can tell you is, but I'm not that unusual. I would say most men and women, for most of them, in 4 days, they typically lose as much weight as a month on any diet they've ever been on. Can you imagine how much that motivates you? Do you know most women on this lose a whole dress size in 7 or 8 days? A whole dress size, in 7 days? There's nothing like this on the planet. I know it sounds too good to be true. And like I said before, the more science I give you, the more skeptical you become. That's what drives me crazy. Because we've got 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. These are not scientific papers. These are not studies on mice and rats. These are on human beings and scrutinized by the top medical doctors and nutritional researchers in the entire world. The researchers, they submit their research and then it gets scrutinized. If these other influencers, if they had anything like this, they'd want to get a peer-reviewed human trial study because they're irrefutable. Once you go through that process, now the risk you take is you submit your data and your study and they find out that you made it up or it didn't add up. They publish the bad news. That's why none of them will do it. I mean, how excited would you? I just read to you in what did I do with it? Hold on just a second. Oh, here it is. Sorry. In this study in the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most prominent journals in the world, 12-month study, had one group of people lower calories, which you're all familiar with, and the other did this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for 8, nonsense. After 12 months, the people who just lowered calories lost in a year about 16 pounds on average. And those doing time-restricted eating, they only lost 12.6 pounds in a year. And they said both those people lowering calories and those doing time-restricted eating lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. Why are you dieting when the evidence says that if you go on a diet, 66 2/3 of you will end up weighing more than you did when you started? Does that sound like a successful approach that you'd want to take? Now do you understand why they're not publishing peer-reviewed studies, and all the studies that are coming out now are not being done by the specific weight loss protocol. They're being done, independently. And then, another big misconception is, well, it was once thought that the more fat you had, the less muscle you would lose. That's in a calorie deficit. Since this has been completely disproved with both lean and obese people losing significant rates of muscle when dieting. That's what you're losing, 40%. It slows your metabolism. That's why you gain everything back. You're going against your own survival mechanism in your body that the brain triggers when there's not enough nutrition, not calories. Human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Why are you counting calories? Ridiculous. A calorie is a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water, 1 degree Celsius. That's it. What the body cares about is nutrition. And the reason diets fail is really pretty simple. We have a minimum amount of nutrition that we need in order for the brain to feel. The brain gets it gets the nutrition, then the heart, then the lungs, then the kidneys, et cetera, et cetera. When you go on a diet, all you're doing is lowering the quantity of food you're consuming. But did you ever think about your lowering nutrition? And when the brain senses there's not enough nutrition, which is code word for fuel for the organs, what does it do? It wants to survive. It panics. It goes in starvation mode, stops you from burning fat, and turns to your muscles for fuel. It's not a made. That's what's going on. And every diet's proving that all these diets are causing you to lose up to 40% of your lean muscle mass, and you keep doing them. Paleo, keto, Mediterranean, time-restricted eating, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, none of them work long-term. My God, we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Does anyone think in their right mind that any of these diets work long-term? I mean, it's so crazy. Here's something that should concern all of us. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. In 5.5 years, Johns Hopkins Medical School is estimating 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030. What are we doing? I mean, seriously. That means only 14% of the population won't be overweight or obese in 5.5 years? You think diets are working? The graph goes like this, straight up. In 2008, it was only 60% overweight and obese. In 2008, so let's say in 22 years, it's going from 60%, it's going to go to 86%. That's like a 40-some% increase. And we have, go to Barnes & Noble, my God, look at all the diets we have. We're being misled big time. But now finally, the science is catching up. Because for years, when you have Harvard Medical School doing a 380, when they, 180, not 380, stop counting calories. Most people, this is Harvard Medical School. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you lose a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is a totally misguided approach. This idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. She goes on to say, drop the calories notion, said Stanford. It's time to concentrate on what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. Has anyone ever told you that before? Were you aware of that? Were you aware that the human body doesn't know what a calorie is? The human body doesn't count calories, but it counts nutrition. So the researchers, who again, they don't have a company, they don't sell any products, they did the research and they figured out that they'd done 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet you could think of. And every time people lost weight, only to gain all the weight back, because when they did the blood, stool, urine, fat, and muscle analysis, people were losing up to 40% of the lean muscle mass, which by definition, it slows down your metabolism. I don't care what you think. That's what's going on. And when you slow your metabolism down, you're going to gain all your weight back. Remember The Biggest Loser a few years ago, and those people lost like 150 pounds? You know, they did a follow-up study on them about 4 or 5 years ago, and they found that they'd all gained back more weight than they lost. And when they analyzed their metabolic functions, they saw that their metabolism had been slowed down by up to 30%. So even when they went back to eating, let's quote, normally, they gained all their weight back and more. Because did you see the amount of fat? Did you see the loose skin they had? The only thing they lost on that thing was their muscle. They didn't lose fat. The medical evidence is overwhelming. That's what's going on. It doesn't matter what the diet is. I mean, I'll give you another one here. This is a shorter study done recently, though. Journal of the American Medical Association on this time-restricted eating, where they tell you don't eat for 16 hours, eat for 8, intermittent fasting. Nonsense. I'm going to blow that to smithereens right now. Journal of the American Medical Association, new research found that remember, I'm reading from the study. I'm not giving you an opinion. Be clear on that. But the Journal of the American Medical Association, new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily, eating all their meals between noon and 8 p.m., popularly known as the 16-8 diet, gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. This is the Journal of the American Medical Association, not some influencer who's giving you an opinion. And I don't want to disparage anybody, but it's sad. We're in a crisis. And they're still telling, it's like, the people that stood on the deck of the Titanic thinking it wasn't going to sink. That's where we are. I mean, my God, we have a third of our kids are pre-diabetic? Do you know type 2 diabetes, which is mostly what it is, like 25, 30 years ago, didn't even exist. We're eating ourselves to death. We are. And what are we doing about it? Where's the next celebrity? Where's the next athlete? Where's the next, advertising about a new diet? And my gosh, we're coming into, we all know, New Year's resolution time here. I can't believe, pretty soon. I just think that our only job at the New Health Conversation is to make you aware of what's available. It's not to sell you. It's not to convince you. We don't need to do that. If you go and look at the website and see the medical proof, I'd say there's almost 100% chance you're going to want to do something different than you're doing now. You can keep doing it and defy the medical proof. It's up to you. Or you can go and see the medical proof and decide for your own selves why you don't want to ever go on a diet counting calories ever again. Why would you do it? Sounds good. So San or Rhaegar78 or Mariah Rose, would any of you like to ask me any questions? Again, look at the headline. I really did lose 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks. It's not a diet, and I've kept it off for 21 years. That's what should interest you. We're not arguing that you can lose weight on any diet. We're not arguing anything. We're presenting the medical proof that 66 2/3 of you, whatever diet you go on, you're going to gain back more weight than you lost. That should terrify you. It should horrify. Why in the world would you listen to nonsense? They all mean well. They think what they're telling you. I can't believe they're not looking at the medical proof. I can't believe they're not delving into what's really going on. Now, let me share something else with you that you probably don't know. This medical syndrome that I discovered, I'm not trying to impress you, but it's for real. This is a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office, a new medical condition. TDOS stands for toxicity driven by nutritional deficiency, being overweight and stress. I have it, you have it, every person in the world, because we're drinking, we're breathing, we're eating chemicals, whether you know it or not. Did you all see the thing on Starbucks coffee? And I like Starbucks coffee from 2 months ago, where they said each cup of Starbucks coffee, you're getting between 50 and 80,000 microplastics in every cup of coffee. What? Bottled water, between 100 and 200,000. You're trying to, you see what's going on? The biggest thing, that the only reason really to do this, the weight loss is like a given. We almost joke, that's a throw-in. The main thing, and they did it, the researchers did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, and they proved that this protocol, first and foremost, was assisting the body in doing what? Removing herbicides and pesticides and Scotchgard and Teflon and even plastics from the body. And as a result, literally the fat, what's called the belly fat. That's where we're storing the chemicals, whether you look at it or not. They're called obesogens. I'm going to give you more information on that in a moment. They shrank the belly fat in people with no exercise in 8 weeks by 33%, while gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. That's the main reason you should do it, is to help your body get rid of this stuff that we're storing. And you're not going to get rid of all of it really ever, because the other problem is it keeps coming in. We're breathing in the fumes from the coal-fired power plants in China from 2 weeks ago, the lithium and the cadmium and the mercury and things like that. Again, I ask you, what are you doing? I'd love for anybody to put in the chat. Give me a diet that you think works. Give me anything that you can show me with medical evidence that it actually works long term. I don't want to scare you to death. I don't want to depress you. We want to lift you up. We want to support you. That's why we created the website for free. And if you go to the website, we won't contact you. Why would we? The medical proof is there. If you like what you see, you get to choose. Scroll down, sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches who's done the protocol and been trained to answer all your questions. But let's talk about these chemicals. I think that's an important thing. I think you're going to be pretty shocked when you hear this. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to research on hormones and the clinical practice of endocrinology, reports that the rise in the incidence in obesity matches the rise in the use and distribution of industrialized chemicals. These chemicals have a name. They call them obesogens. Obesogens. Simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our bodies from a variety of sources, from natural compounds in soy, artificial hormones fed to animals, plastic pollutants in food packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides sprayed on our produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, ladies, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, men, and essentially reprogramming us to gain weight. Had you ever heard of obesogens before now? What do you think you're doing to get obesogens out of your body? Because there's no regular diet that's ever been proven to remove anything from the body. The only thing you're losing on a diet is your lean muscle mass. Somebody has to somebody has to at least make you aware of this. You can ignore it. I don't see it see no, hear no. Okay, good. But in this case, denial is probably not going to work. Can any of you give me a justification why you'd want to carry 1 gram of a toxin in your body for 1 extra second? On average, all of us have about 1,000 chemicals stored in our what's called our visceral fat, that other people call belly fat, but it's the fat that's wrapped around our organs. Okay, they shrank that fat in 8 weeks with nobody exercising by 33%. And they gained 6 to 9. Go to the website, look at the before and after. There are people that lost 100 pounds, no loose skin. How's that sound? Does that sound pretty good? I mean, can you imagine how shocked I was when I lost 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks? And the thing that amazes me still today, although I know why and how it works now, is I've been able to keep it off. I mean, I went from a 42 inch to a 34-inch waist, and I'm still a 34-inch waist today. Sounds like a winner to me. Most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise. That doesn't sound interesting to any of you? So, hi, Channels Stevenson. Channel. It must be Chanel. Sorry, Chanel. Hey, Big Shig, you're back. Huh. Gosh, I think this is your third live with me. I'm thinking that's either I didn't explain it well enough, or you're still curious or excited. And did you get a chance to go to the website and at least look at it, whether you sign up for free consultation or not? I'd be very curious. So San or Rhaegar or Channel Stevenson 19851. What? Please put some. Are you looking to lose weight, gain weight? This is not a diet. And like I said, most men and women with no exercise lost in 7 days what took 8 weeks on any diet, lost as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise. And that was the least important part of it. The most important part, this empowers our own body to remove the herbicides, pesticides, Scotch Guard, Teflon, flame retardants we're storing inside of our fat cells. That's the main reason to do this. The weight loss is ancillary. It's like a throw-in. We almost tell people, don't concentrate on the weight loss. We know that's going to happen no matter what. Wow, big, wonderful, wonderful. That is just fabulous. And did you probably put your name in, so I probably wouldn't recognize it. Yes, Rhaegar, let me give you the website again, okay? This website, and I'm going to show it to you in just a moment for all of you, but Sig went there. Sig, would you agree, if you don't mind? I don't know Sig, everyone. He was on my live, he's been on two, this is the third one he's been on today, so he must have liked what he's seen. But Sig, do you agree, no tricks, no gimmicks, there's nothing to buy on the website, it's only the medical proof. Do you agree with that, Sig? Big Sig. Oh, see? So, Big Sig, do I have some credibility? I wasn't tricking you. You couldn't buy it in my books there. There was nothing on there. You got to see the medical proof. Let me ask you this. What did you think of those before and afters, which I can't show on social media? I'm just dying to know. And didn't you see people that lost like 100 pounds and no loose skin? And how about the athletes? In 12 days, the transformation was crazy, was it not? Yeah, see, amazing. Look, all of you, I don't know, Rhaegar or Anthony or any of you, that website is completely for you to go and see and investigate. And then if you like what he did, then sign up for a free personal consultation. It's free with one of our coaches. There's no gimmicks and there's no tricks, right? Oh, good, Big Shig. Is it big? Yeah. Wonderful, Rhaegar. Okay. And Rhaegar, for all of you, understand, if you go to the website, as he will tell you, we don't contact you. The only way that we'll contact you is if you contact us. You scroll down at the bottom, it says sign up for a free personal consultation. But again, it's for all of you. It's like, I know it's too good to be true, because like I said, I do this all the time and I get tremendous amounts of pushback. People want to compare us to other people on social media. I mean, okay, what if I told you that in the first week, you'll probably lose at least, you won't believe this, but you'll probably lose 6 to 8 pounds in just the first week, maybe more. How cool, how much would you be excited about that? With no exercise. And let me clarify. It's not that we're against exercise. It's not the researchers were against exercise. In the studies, they eliminated exercise because then it would have been an outlier. And then they could have said, well, people lost weight because they did diet and exercise. No, that's not how this worked. And again, obviously, we're not against exercise in any, shape, manner, or form. So I hope I don't mispronounce your name. I'm sorry if I do. Mariah Rose. So do you have any? Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm with you. Rhaegar 78. I'm with you. But can you look at me? I mean, I lost 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks with no, I mean, come on, that's crazy. But the best part, I've kept it off for 21 years. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that, you can, I mean, I'm so happy about it. And the greatest part about this is called R2M. The idea, whether it's SIG or whether it's Rhaegar, is to get you, so R2M sets a race to maintenance. Now you would think our goal is to get the weight off you. When we get the 25 or 30 pounds off your Rhaegar, you're at the end of the beginning. Then we teach you the most important part is the maintenance. Because think about it, any of you have ever been on a diet, it's always like, oh, okay, now I lost my weight. Now what do I do? You're terrified to go back to just eating, whatever. The whole key to this is long term. The heck with, I mean, you're going to be blown away because I'll tell you right now, Rhaegar, this will probably blow your mind. You probably, oh my God. Okay, I'm glad you asked me that. So the real reason that I was so scared 21 years ago, a little over 21 years, I went into my doctor's office, yearly physical. He comes in after my blood work. This is the first go around on my physical. And he says, Peter, if you don't do something radically different today, you have an 85% chance of a heart attack within 18 months. I went, whoa. He said, your cholesterol's 400. Your triglycerides are 300. Your risk of a heart attack or stroke is at 85% out of 100, and you're 40 pounds overweight. So what did he tell me to do, Rhaegar? He put me on diet, exercise, and a statin to lower my cholesterol. So I come back 8 weeks later after this diagnosis, right? I've lost 8 pounds, pretty typical. He was thrilled with that on a diet, but my cholesterol only came down about 15 points and he couldn't give me any more medication. And by fate or whatever, that same day or the next day, I ran into another friend of mine who had played professional football for the Oakland Raiders football team. And he told me about this and said, hell, I'll eat road tar if it won't kill me. I went on it and there are the results. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days and 40 pounds in 7 weeks. That's the least exciting part of the story. I go back to my doctor. So I get diagnosed. It's 8 weeks of traditional diet, exercise, and statins. Now it's another 8 weeks. And I go back in for my blood work. And this time my doctor comes in, throws my chart down and says, Peter, you're trying to kill yourself? I said, what are you talking about? He said, how much statin are you taking? I said, Doc, I haven't touched that. Now, I'm not telling any of you to do this. Do not hear that. We're not here to treat, diagnose, or make any medical claims whatsoever. Don't hear me saying that. I'm just telling you my story because they were asking me. I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, the lab made a mistake. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, your cholesterol's gone from 400 to 120. Your triglycerides are gone from 300 to 30. You've lost 40 pounds and your heart attack risk has dropped from 85 to 15%. And I said, you're not retesting me. I just had a physical like 6 months ago. My numbers are the same. They've remained the same. But also if you go, no. As a matter of fact, we have the man who invented it had a kidney transplant at the Mayo Clinic, had both of his kidneys removed and had a kidney transplant and did it. He died a couple of years ago, but nothing related to the kidney. So we've had tremendous success because the problem with, maybe you know this with kidneys, and protein is one of the most important things we can consume, but not for the protein itself. And this is what people don't understand. Protein itself carries the 20 amino acids, 9 are essential, 11 non-essential. And when you eat protein, you think you're getting like 100 grams of protein, you're getting 100, no. In Europe, they developed a new test where protein's like a walnut shell. The body breaks open the protein shell and extracts the 20 amino acids. And then in a new study out of Europe, they were able to determine in plants or animal proteins what percentage 0 to 100 of the aminos were being used by the body. Here's where the downside calls. Plant-based protein, the absorption is only 10%. 90% are turned into toxins that our kidneys have to get rid of. They're called nitrogen catabolites, urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose. All meat, steak, chicken, liver, fish, etc., the absorption is only 30%. So 70% of those, 70% of what's not used is a waste. Well, you'll be happy to know, Rhaegar 78, that the protein source they used here, the absorption, you ready for this, is 91%. So there's like tiny amount of waste. So we have a number of people that have had, really kidney problems, kidney cancer, you name whatever it might be. So I'm very confident about that. I mean, like I said, the man that invented had a kidney transplant and lived for years on the protocol. At the end of the day, this is food. At the end of the day, this is not a drug. At the end of the day, now granted, these foods came from all around the world, from Russia, China, Mongolia, Manchuria, South America, New Zealand, with no herbicides and pesticides. So again, the kidneys don't have to deal with that stuff. And just these massive amounts of quality, not massive amounts of quantity of food. That's why it works. So again, that's also why you want to set up a consultation with one of our coaches and, to get more specific, are you any, see, that's why we do personal consultations. How would we have known that you had, kidney cancer or you know what I'm saying? We take this seriously. This is not about like, hey, and by the way, here's the cool thing. The researchers, we don't sell you the 5 products that come from around the world. You buy them directly from the people who found these sources, and they even give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. We have a gentleman right now with a heart transplant. He's thriving. He's doing great. Because again, it's just food, but not the food you can buy at your local grocery store, even if it's organic. That's what I want you all to try and understand. So the researchers, they knew that the problem with all these diets was they were lowering the quantity of food, and not just food, but of the nutrition. And so they said, can we lower the amount of food people consume, but not lower the nutrition? That's exactly what they did. Does this make sense to all of you? I'm hoping on a Zoom meeting, speaker returns. Yeah, well, that's what the Regar 78, that's what the coaches will do. They'll set up a Zoom call with you and go over everything with you. That's totally free. There's no gimmicks. It's not like, well, you have to sign up. No, you're not signing up for anything. You're getting to see the medical proof, sign up for the free, well, you're signing up for a free consultation. That's what I meant. We're not trying to trick anybody. Why would we need to do that? We have the medical proof. Now, granted, I didn't go to Russia, or Mongolia, Manchuria, or Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, but I didn't have to. Thank God somebody else did it. It's really exciting because we know that we're really making a difference in people's lives, right? So, oh, absolutely. Oh, I'm hopping on a Zoom meeting. Okay, what I was saying is normally the coaches will do a Zoom meeting with you. So good luck at work, and I hope you found this to be, exciting for you. So would anybody else like to ask a question before I close this live out? I got some other things I need to do. So it's now almost 3:30 on the East Coast. So I'll probably do another podcast in case somebody's coming on late or they want to invite somebody. I'll probably do one around, let's say 5-ish. Yeah, probably around 5 o'clock Eastern time today. If any of you, want to come back on or invite a friend, etc. So any last questions, other Sand20206 or well, Big Shig, you already answered the questions. But I'm really excited for all of you because at least you've been exposed to what you could possibly, at least potentially do if you want to. But you get to make the choice. We're not deciding for you. You're deciding for yourself. You're getting to see the medical proof, just like Shreg did. I guess he's gone now. But Miss Coco Ginger. Coco Ginger, you can see the headline. It's not a joke. I really did lose 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. I'd say that's pretty darn good. Hi, Ropies. So the main thing here is that you all want to understand you have free access to these medical studies now, which are going to, they've obsoleted every diet you've ever been on. Diet, nutrition, whatever these programs, plans are on. We've got 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Does anybody really think, put it in the chat, that diets work? They don't. They don't. And we've got study after study after study proving it. So again, I'm going to go about another 10 minutes in case, so Ropies or anybody, if you have any questions for me, this is live. I'm happy to answer them. Just look at the headline. That's the key to this whole thing. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've kept it off for 21 years. It's not a diet. It has nothing to do with dieting. And I've written 4, you can see them. Which way do I need to go? This way, I guess. 4 best-selling books: Why Diets Are Failing Us, The TDOS Syndrome, TDOS Solutions, and Your Third Brain. I wrote them all with medical doctors. I've done 20 shows on PBS. I'm not telling you to impress you. I want to impress upon you. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America. I've done over 1,500 lectures all over the world pre-COVID. I even went to China. And I'd like to think that that 21 years of research is now culminated in, now here's what's amazing. For 20 of those years, despite all that academic, and all 4 books I wrote with major medical doctors, because I wanted, I'm not an MD. I wanted to have the MD stamp on the book as far as making sure we weren't saying anything that was not valid medically, okay? Well, as it turned out that for 20 of those 21 years, that all that meant nothing in the medical world, zero. That's why I keep telling all of you, why are you following these influencers that have not one shred of medical evidence? They're giving you opinions. And they're giving you opinions on diets by lowering calories that completely don't work. They don't work, period. I mean, I'd love for anyone to put in the chat, you think a diet works, tell me what it would be. Because the medical evidence, like right here, why you shouldn't count calories. Can anybody put a diet in this? It's not some form of lowering calories. Listen to this. Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. So you're going on a diet to end up weighing more than when you started. You don't have to believe it, but those are the medical facts. 66 and 2/3 of people gain back more weight than they lost. What are we doing? This is nuts. This is insanity. And I don't disparage the influencers that are on here. There's fitness trainers and medical doctors and chiropractors and dietitians and nutritionists and fitness coaches and weight loss coaches and health coaches. But if we have 80% of America overweight and 50% obese and 50% pre-diabetic and 33% of our kids pre-diabetic, and then we have this new study, Johns Hopkins Medical School study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, where they're saying 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese by 2030. And they go on to say what's even worse is by 2048, we estimate that nearly 100% of Americans will be overweight or obese. This is crazy. And what are we doing? We're counting calories. There's a pretty big problem with that. You know what the problem is? The human body doesn't know what a calorie is. Calorie is just a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius, nothing more, nothing less. Why are you listening to opinions? Because that's pretty much all that's out there until now. And I'm not being egotistical. We've put our time in, okay? I've flown 2 million miles just on United in the last 22 years, meeting these world-class experts. Everything I'm sharing with you, none of it's my opinion. If you think I'm giving you opinions, you're on the wrong podcast. So we don't do that. We give you medical proof. But again, how excited would you be if you stood on the scale after 7 or 8 days and you've lost as much weight as in 2 months of any diet you've ever been on? Or after 30 days, lose as much weight as a year, lose no water, and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise. Because no one was allowed to exercise on purpose by the researchers. They didn't want exercise to be an outlier. Does that make sense to everyone? No ropies. My parents needed diet. I think Dad has rheumatoid arthritis, carpal tunnel, high blood pressure. Okay, so ropies, let's have a one-on-one conversation. You stop me at any point, okay? Ropies, this was invented by the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. For 38 years, they've done over 100 studies on every diet out there, and they came to the conclusion diets don't work. The program's called R2M, Race to Maintenance, okay? Just so you understand. But the key to it is, it's not that we can't get the weight off your father. We'll get it off in 1/12 of the time of any diet. We'll get it off without the loss of water and he'll gain lean muscle, okay? Now watch this. But the key is, once we get him to his goal, because I don't know how much he weighs. If you want to share that with me, I can give you kind of a rough estimate about how long it'll take. Even doesn't matter his age. We got people 90 years old doing this. 90. I got a lady, she's 80. She's lost 84 pounds in about 7 months. 84 pounds, okay? So it's not age restrictive, okay? But anyway, The idea is to get him to his goal, and then we teach him how to maintain it. That's why it's called race to maintenance, but it's all about the maintenance. It's all about once he loses the weight to maintain it, but he's not on the protocol as intense anymore. For example, basically what they're doing is, if we took 7 days, well, let me break it down for you, Ropes, because I know you came on just recently. 40% of what he would consume, we give him a grocery list that he could take to the grocery store: fats, carbs, proteins, fruits, and vegetables. The other 60% come from 5 foods that come from all over the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, China. The researchers who did the research, they don't sell anything. They have no dog in the hunt. We don't sell it to your dad. But he would buy the grocery list, he goes to his grocery store. The other 60% of the food he buys directly from those suppliers. But listen to this, Ropies. In the first 30 days, the people that supply the 60% of the food from all over the world, they give your dad 100% money back guarantee. There is no risk. The risk is he doesn't do something like this, and honest to God, what do you think the chances of him? Well, we know if he loses the weight, he's going to gain it all back, even if he can stay on a diet. And the main thing about this, Ropies, listen to this, in 30 days, and I don't know what his medical conditions are, but I'll just give you an overall. In a month, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically in just 30 days. Inflammation came down 25% in 30 days. No diet's ever produced anything like that. And he's not on a diet. So does that give you, now, I didn't tell you the other part. So during the beginning and the more aggressive part of this, 5 days a week, he'd be doing something called protein pacing. It's real simple. And protein pacing for breakfast, there are 5 foods from around the world, and they do taste good. No supplements. There's no supplements involved here. Then lunch from the grocery store, dinner from the grocery store, and Ropies, watch this. He has a 4th meal, 4 meals. The world's most perfect meal. So he starts the day with it, has a regular lunch from the food at the grocery store, a regular dinner from the grocery store list, and the 4th from this field. That's 5 days a week. Then 2 days a week, he does something called intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, don't get any of you get excited. It's not fasting. It's not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store, and he consumes just these 5 foods 4 times a day, about every 2 or 3 hours. Again, 4 meals. Now, once he gets the maintenance, then it's as simple as his breakfast every morning are these 5 foods. Now, why is that important? Because why wouldn't your dad or you or anybody want to put the world's most perfect meal in your body at least once a day? That's it. That's what I do. Do you see that, Ropies? I lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. That's why this is so exciting. It's not a question, can we get the weight off him? That's like a given. We almost say that's the last important thing. And again, I don't know if he has any health challenges, depending on how much he weighs, et cetera. Thank him for his service. Absolutely. Okay, so he probably, I'll tell you what I think he should weigh. Maximum 180, so he needs to lose 40 pounds. Ropies, I would say this will blow your mind. The first week, he's going to lose at least 10 pounds. That first month, he'll probably lose 25 pounds. And easily the 40 pounds he'll lose in 2 months or less. But the thing you have to understand, Ropies, please, with no disrespect, the food in this country, the best food you would give him, is still nutritionally insufficient. That's why the researchers who had used organic food for 38 years in all the diets they'd put people on, they realized that was a big downside. Because when they were lowering the quantity of food people consumed, they were lowering the nutrition because the food they were feeding them was already nutritionally insufficient. So the reason they found these foods, now these other food sources from around the world, where they're not using herbicides or pesticides or GMOs or whatever, have massive amounts of nutrition that you can't get from food in this country, even with your best intentions. Ropies, does that make sense to you? If you want to type it in there, I'm just curious. But again, Ropies, I don't want you to believe me. I really invite you to go to the web. I'm going to put the website right under your last yes. Okay, hold on. Oh, it makes sense, you're saying. Okay, good. I'm glad I make sense. Sometimes I wonder if I make sense. I do so many of these. Ropies, do you understand there's no risk here, okay? Your dad has to eat anyway, or you have to eat, or I have to eat, right? All we're saying is that this combination of about 40% of food from the grocery store and these 5 foods from around the world allow your dad to lower the quantity of his food, but actually increase the amount of nutrition. That's the perfect storm, the perfect scenario. But let me ask you this, how excited would you think he'd be if in a week he lost 10 pounds? That's 25% of what he'd want to lose in 7 days. Hello? I mean, is that, I know it's crazy. I do these all day long, and people are coming on from all these other venues, and they're doing paleo, they're doing keto, they're doing this time-restricted eating, they're doing the Cornish diet, the Zone diet, the Atkins diet, the lose weight for your blood type, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, on and on and on. And Ropes, you sound like you're pretty interested in this. If 80% of us are now overweight, and 50% are obese, and 50% are pre-diabetic, what do you think? Do you think diets work? Do you see how crazy this is? That we're accepting such terrible mediocrity because it's the only option? It's not the only option anymore. If you're on this podcast, you get a chance to hit the reset button for your dad. He's relatively young, if he's only 61. I mean, can't you see how amazing this could be? Because it's not about him fitting in his skinny jeans as much as, look, get the weight off, he'll live a lot longer. We know that. It's not up for debate. Because also, what's it doing for his discs and joints and knees and back and hips with that extra weight? He has his whole life ahead of him. But sad to say, there's no diet he can go on that's going to produce these kind of results because they have the medical proof showing it doesn't happen. For all of you. So again, anyway, Ropes, I hope you will take the time to go to the website, The New Health Conversation. And Ropes, we won't contact you. Be clear. We don't do that. The website is purely for humanity to go and see the medical proof. So once you convince yourself, we're not going to convince you. We're not going to try and sell you. But we are going to, well, and if you like what you see, scroll down at the bottom. It says sign up for a free personal consultation. That's it. There's no gimmicks, no tricks. It's not like, oh, you're going to talk to a coach and they're going to try and twist your arm. No, we don't do that. We don't need to do that. We have the only medical proof, period. Nobody else has any one shred of medical proof. They have opinions. They got fancy titles. They got whiteboards, and it's nonsense. I just come back as a practical researcher saying, wait a minute. They're telling us this works when 80% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic, and John Hopkins is saying by 2030, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. Is that success? I mean, come on. Oh my God. That means they're failing 86% of the time. Oh, wow. I don't mean to laugh. It's not funny. It's just really, really sad. And, the other thing, Ropes, you need to know about me is that my own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. Not that your dad is. And I never knew her thin and I never knew her healthy, but I loved her. She was awesome. And 23 years ago, and it's a big reason why I became a researcher, she called me up one day and said, Peter, she said, I have one wish in my life. And I said, Mom, what would that be? And she said, I would give anything to spend 24 hours thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. I love my mom. I miss her like hell. And she was in her mid-60s, a little bit older than your dad. And she was obviously morbidly obese. Your dad isn't. He's overweight, but he's not, morbidly obese. So I have a great sensitivity to all of this for all of you. Understand, I saw the fat shaming. I went through that, but she was still my mom and it didn't matter. I loved her. It didn't matter how big she was. It was what was inside that mattered. But my God, what I would have given to be on a phone call, would have had to be a phone call in those days, 23 years ago, just to make me aware of this. If my mom could have lost as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of diet, I mean, she might have got there. She might have got to her goal that she never did. Look, she only asked for 24 hours. She didn't ask for a week. She didn't ask for a month. She didn't ask for a year. And I know some of you are that desperate, but you've given up hope. Because really, how many diets do you need to go on to lose weight and gain it all back? And then you think it's you. It has nothing to do with you. It's the wrong approach. It's the wrong protocol. It's absolutely, that's what's going on for all of you. So, thanks, Ropes. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, Ropies. I just saw that chance, saw the 14%. But, Ropies, I can kind of relate. My mom, I think she was 67 when she died, so she was a few years older than your dad. And Ropies, it wasn't because she didn't try. I saw her do about every diet that was, I saw her cut diets out of the National Enquirer, out of Reader's Digest. I saw her, she did what Oprah did. She did OptiFast. She did Weight Watchers for years. She did the South Beach diet. She did the grapefruit diet. She did the cabbage diet. I see her lose 20 and gain 25 back. See her lose 30 and gain 35 back. The thing is, your dad is not really that far out of whack, but also the other thing that would happen from Ropey's, his energy, his mental clarity, sleeping better at night, those aches and pains, which are being caused by inflammation. The older we get, the more the inflammation plays, this havoc on our bodies. Imagine it went down 25% in a month. And by the way, Ropey's, this without your dad exercising. Not that he doesn't, if he wants to exercise, that's fine. But it's about his quality of life. The weight is just you know, for us, it's like, that's just a given. It's not even like, it's lowest on our list of things that happen when people go on this because it's not a diet, right? So would anybody else like to, wow, I've gone over an hour now, but anybody else before I close out Sands 206, you've been very patient, hanging in there with me, or anybody else on any of the other platforms, if you'd like to ask me a question. I will probably, it's now almost 4 o'clock on the East Coast. I'll probably do another one. Let's see, four. I'll probably do another one, maybe like 5:30 will be my last one of the day. If anybody wants to tell somebody about it, go on it, whatever. So I'm going to say Abba Oda Fast Money. I'm unfortunately for you too, I'm ABBA and Fast Money. I'm just concluding, but look at the headline first. I really did lose 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. You can learn about everything I did. I'll put it down here at the bottom. This is our free medical website where you can go. It's right there, the New Health Conversation. You can go there for free. Oh, right. No better time than now. So, ABBA or whatever, I encourage you to go to that website, the New Health Conversation, see all the medical proof. And if you like what you see, scroll down to the bottom and you can sign up for a free consultation. But ABBA, if you go there, we're not going to contact you. So don't think you go to the website and you're going to get a phone call from us. We don't work that way. We want you to see the medical proof and then you can sign up for a free personal consultation. The same thing, I know you're coming on late, William. The website, look at my headline. I really lost 20 pounds in 18 days, 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 21 years. It's not a diet. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. And you can see the medical proof. You can see it down there at the bottom or above my head, actually. Visit the New Health Conversation. And it's all the medical proof. And if you like what you see, you can scroll down to the bottom and sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Okay? So everybody, I want to bid you adieu. And like I said, I'm going to probably do another one around 5:30 Eastern time today as my last podcast for the day. So all of you have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, because we do go all over the world. Okay? Amanda Marsh Shop. One last time, Amanda, you can see the headline. I lost 20 pounds in 18 days. Well, anyway, I got to go. Okay, Ropies, thank you very, very much. Bye, everyone.